Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar Wednesday. My name is MG Govia. I'm the Education and Outreach Liaison here at Oki 811. Today's webinar is going to be over the 5 steps of safer excavation. So I appreciate you tuning in on this cold day to find out a little bit more about that. If you have not used the GoToWebinar interface before, a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, your interface has an orange arrow. If that interface ever disappears on you or if it's just in the way, click that orange arrow. That collapses it or makes it reappear. If you have any questions at any time, there is a questions tab. Just click that, type in your questions. I am flying solo with this presentation, so what I'll do is I'll wait till the end of the presentation to see if there are any questions I can help clarify before we jump off the presentation. Today's information is going to be pretty high level. It's kind of a refresher for those who may not have been able to sit at a desk for a while and just out in the field working really hard, or for those who are new to your positions, just kind of go over the 811 process at a high level and then go over the 5 steps of safe excavation. So it should take about 30 minutes depending on number of questions that are asked. So with that, I again thank you for joining us today, and we'll jump right in. So the reason that OK811 exists is because the Oklahoma Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act, or the OUFDPA. And in that law, it just states that all operators of underground facilities should participate in it, which means they're going to tell us where their assets are located geographically, and then what personnel to contact when digging is going to take place near those underground assets. For it to work, our excavators or anybody who's going to be doing any digging should give us notification of no more than 10 days, nor less than 48 hours, excluding the date of notification, weekends, and holidays. So that's the process. If you just take away all the other legalese, it's just pretty much saying, hey, we have all the operators of underground facilities in our system. We're going to be able to notify them when digging is going to take place near it. And then the excavator just needs to give us proper notification to start that communication with those operators. A lot of people ask, what does this look like? Why do I need to call or contact OK811? And this is the reason why. The state of Oklahoma has plenty of assets that are registered within OK811. Here's the telecommunications. And then next is going to be our pipeline system, as well as our electric and their distribution, rural water systems, municipalities and the utilities that they're going to provide, other, which is going to be like hospitals, campuses, private farms, things of that nature. So when you take all of those different utility types or service areas and lay them on top of each other, you can see that Oklahoma pretty much has registered assets everywhere. So it's always in your best interest to contact OK811 to mitigate any damages or risk of injury or worse to your crew. So the process works like this. It starts with the excavator contacting OK811. You may notice we use the word contact a lot instead of just calling us. Over 75% of our tickets are done through the website, so we understand the ease of that. So you can contact us by either going to our website or using the phone. I'm going to get the proper notification in no more than 10 days, no less than 48 hours, excluding the date of notification, weekends, and holidays. That locate request is going to be generated. The locate request is what we're calling the request from the excavator. So the excavator is saying, hey, come please locate these lines. We're going to map out the dig site described by the excavator, and then that ticket number is going to be generated and provided a copy of to the excavator. And then the notifications is the communication that leaves us and goes out to the operators or our member companies, are where we're going to send that out. So we're going to transmit that locate request from the excavator as a notification out to the member companies in that area. An average of 6 members are going to be notified per ticket. Just for reference, in 2021, OK811 processed over 1 million tickets. So that means over 6 million tickets were received and processed by our member companies. Then each member is responsible for responding to that request prior to the work to begin date time. They're going to go out and they're going to mark the approximate location of their underground facilities. They have a 2-foot tolerance either side of their paint flags, to where as you dig down, you should be able to find their utilities. They're going to be using the APWA uniform color code, and then they're going to communicate with the excavator the status of that locate request by providing mandatory positive response. An excavator can confirm the positive response by looking at their ticket prior to going out to the site. It should have the positive response provided by each member that's on the locate request. They're going to wait the required time before digging. So if they say they're going to work at Friday at noon, their ticket is not valid until Friday at noon. They're going to look at the positive response. They're going to make sure the marking is available to them all throughout the project and that every company has responded. And they're going to dig test holes to identify and properly protect that underground facility. I like to call that discovering the 3Ds. And that's going to be the depth, the direction, and distance of those underground facilities within the work area so that they can properly protect them. A couple things to keep in mind. One, private lines will not be located. And private lines obviously are like propane lines, sprinkler lines, things like that, anything that you know a utility does not maintain. Another private line would be anywhere where a utility company turns over the service over to the property owner. So after the meter, after that distribution, where it goes into service, typically is where the property owner is responsible for maintaining that line. Typically, another way to explain it is if the property owner is responsible for repairing it, the property owner is the one who's responsible for protecting it. And OK81 is not the locating company. As I explained, we receive the locate request from the excavators, and then we transmit that information out to the member companies to go and locate. Those member companies are either going to locate those lines with their own personnel, or may go out with a third party such as USIC or GridHawk or one of the many others that may be doing that service for them. So the ticket entry methods I briefly touched on is web tickets or by calling us. Web tickets are preferred by a lot of our users just for the ease of it. For all normal and update tickets, you can use our website. You'll be able to view and update locate requests from your company for the last 30 days. So if myself and another coworker were working on a project and I needed to move on to a different project and turn over the point of contact to my coworker could log in, update that ticket, and change that information for the contacts. Mapping is available to pinpoint the dig site, so you have access to what our contact center agents see, and you can map out your dig site properly. And of course, the best benefit of when it comes to web tickets is no hold times. I do recommend if you've never put in a web ticket to go ahead and give us a call. The first or second time putting in a locate request, getting familiar with the questions that you're going to be answering on the website helps. It will help you with your efficiency and speed of putting those in. Our office hours are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And after business hours, only emergency locate requests will be accepted by the telephone. It is always required to call us, regardless of time, for emergency requests, second and third notices, demolition notice, damage report tickets, or wildland fire notifications. Those are just conversations that you would need to have with our contact center staff so that they can process those for you. The website doesn't prioritize those tickets when putting it through. The website's only for normal and update tickets. So when putting in a ticket, you may wonder what it looks like on the back end. What are we seeing when putting in a locate request? So this is an example of a dig site that's going to overlap some service areas. So this is not any of our member companies' true assets registration, but I do want to make to show an example of this. So if a pipeline company calls and provides us with their center line data where the pipeline runs, and in this case it runs north and south kind of parallel to I-35 in that area, that is called center line data, and we register that asset. And then we put a default of 500-foot buffer either side of that. That's a common Ground Alliance's best practice. You can look up CGA's best practices by just Googling it, and you'll be able to see the latest of their material. But this is a practice just to give us the confidence that anything that's going to be work near that pipeline would get notified so you can properly protect it. The next company may be just someone who owns a well, and they provide what's called center point data. So they give us a GPS coordinate and they say, hey, right here's our well, please register that asset. And so we put a 500-foot buffer around that as well. So the well is now registered with us, the pipeline is now registered with us, and then some companies may not have as accurate mapping available to them or to us. And so what they may register their assets with is quarter sections. So a quarter section is a half mile by half mile square. So they provide these 6 quarter sections and they say, if digging is taking place in any of these 6 quarter sections, please let us know so that we can respond to that locate request. So in this example, we're gonna have these 3 companies in the area and we'll see what happens when an excavator calls. Excavator is going to contact us, let us know what project they're doing. Our contact center agent is going to work with them and draw what's called a dig site polygon. This is our interpretation of what the excavator is describing, or if the excavator is providing it directly through the website. And this dig site polygon is where work should be taking place based on directions and execution of the work site and our explanation of the work site. So the dig site polygon is drawn, and then just for an additional buffer of 150 feet is put on all directions around the dig site polygon. And this is to ensure that all companies that are truly within that work site can be notified. So in this example, the company that's registered by quarter sections and that pipeline company would receive that locate request, while the company that was registered by Centerpoint or that well company would not receive a locate request. So 2 companies would be responding, the other one would not receive the ticket at all because the dig site polygon does not overlap it. So this is to stress 2 very important points. On our member sides, the operators and owners of underground facilities, we want accurate mapping. We want to make sure that we are protecting you by making sure that your service areas accurately reflect where your assets are located. If that well should have been registered with us a little bit further south and in the area that work is going to be taking place, they should have been notified. But we can only go off of what the member provides to us. And on the other side of the coin, our excavators also need to provide us with accurate descriptions of where their work is going to take place. We need to be able to say, hey, excavator, are you going to be doing work exactly a quarter mile south of this intersection or to the west of this road, so that we can know that if that well, again, should have been notified, we're not too far south because of inaccurate description of the work site. So it's very important that in the middle, as OK11 is in the communication hub, that we have the information that is as accurate as possible from both sides, which is going to be our member companies or our operators of underground facilities, as well as our excavators, the ones who are putting in the locate requests. So the law that we referenced, the Oklahoma Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act, went into effect in 1982. And you can imagine in 40 years that there's been a lot of technology that's taken place that has changed the landscape of what excavation and damage prevention looks like. So to fill in those gaps, to kind of bring in other ways to keep people safe, we established those best practices that we talked about earlier with Common Ground Alliance and just throughout the industry. And so here's a few that I just want to remind you of. First, always plan your work. Give notice no more than 10 days, nor less than 48 hours, excluding the data notification, weekends, and holidays. With that, I do want to remind you that if I call in on Monday, the earliest I could dig would be Thursday morning, right? Given that explanation and that there's no holidays between. If that's the case, that's fine, and that's the earliest you could dig. But if you want, on that same phone call on Monday morning, I can put in the request for the following Wednesday because it's less than 10 days out. So take advantage of that. Give as much notice as possible to give the member companies plenty of time to respond and mark their areas correctly for you, so that you may have a better opportunity to have that locate done and on time for you, so that you can go ahead and start your job when you said you're going to. To help improve that communication with the member companies, go ahead and outline the dig site with white paint. The white lining is an important step. It's not in our law as a mandatory thing, but it does improve that communication. If a locator can show up onto a site and they go, yes, this is exactly where that basketball goal is going, or that mailbox, or the pond, or whatever excavation is going to take place, they can locate around that a lot quicker than trying to locate a full property or anything like that. So by helping out with the precise location of where digging is going to take place, you're improving that communication, and also expedient, making the request go faster as well for the locator. Speaking of background and specific information concerning the site and extent and scope of work. Quick examples are if you're installing a mailbox or a pole, probably a full property is not necessary to be located. So by reducing the amount of area that needs to be located, if I'm putting in a basketball goal for kids, I can say, yeah, locate just my front yard by the driveway, and that way it'll help that information. Also, when it comes to extent, let us know how long the work is going to take place. If it's going to take me 2 days to put up a basketball goal, 2 days. If it's going to take me 3 months to do new construction, and I'm going to be doing a lot of digging for a pipeline install, then by providing that information, you're also helping the locator and what marking materials they're going to use, what communication they want to provide to you to help you with your job as well. Contact information, this is important. We're going to ask for 2 contacts every time a locate request is put in, either through our website or over the phone. The first is going to be the caller information, or the person who is submitting the locate request. This is Okie 811's contact. If after the ticket is processed and our quality assurance team is looking over it, and they notice that this address point doesn't fall where the contact center agent had placed it, or how the excavator described it, then we may need to call back out to the submitter and go, we went west 1/4 mile, but that address point looks like it really is 1/3 mile. Should we change this up? Can we get on the same page and make a correction so that we know for sure that that ticket is going to have the correct member companies responding to it, right? So we wanted to have that conversation with the person who submitted the ticket so that we can get that correct. The other contact that we're going to ask for is going to be the field contact, or the person who's doing the work. This is important because that locator, when they're actually going to be on the site, they're going to want to talk to the person who's has been to the site, knows if there's any access issues, if there's a dog that needs to be put up, if there's a code to the gate that someone forgot to put on the ticket, any of those things. So that gives that locator one point of contact to call, hopefully solve that problem, whatever that may be, as quickly as possible. Because if they're not able to solve that quick problem, or understand exactly where the locate needs to be done, then the whole process is going to be reset. It's going to be access issues. It's going to be instructions not clear, unable to contact the excavator, and then the ticket is going to have to resubmit it, and that's going to cause new timeline. So be sure to keep that in mind. We want the Okie 811's contact for the submitter, and then we want the field contact for the locators, so that they can have a communication point. It's a whole lot easier than reaching out to the admin and the admin calling out to the field to help that locator try to process that ticket. All persons who are excavating on the site should have their own ticket. What this means is, if I'm a plumber and I know that at the project site that I'm at, an electrician is also working, then my company has our ticket, and then the electrician should have theirs. That way we have different scopes of work. Maybe they're working in the backyard to a certain point. I'm working in the front yard to the point, or from the side. So we need to make sure that our scopes of work are both covered. And then also, if unfortunately damages do occur, even if it was my fault and the damage occurs, if only the other company had their locate request, it would look like they had the damage and not me. So always want to have it covered by making sure that I have a ticket on my own, and that if I see any other work taking place by other companies, that they have a ticket as well. And this is also a best practice. Copy of the ticket should be on the job site. This hopefully is kind of common sense. You want to know that you have a valid locate request. Your ticket information is always going to have your expiration date. It's going to have when you need to update the ticket. If your work is going to go on beyond 14 calendar days, it's going to have information for you who's doing the excavation, as well as other parties who may come in. If an operator comes in and go, hey, you're doing work near my assets, can I see your locate request and make sure it's valid? They can see that same information, as well as the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. And the Oklahoma Corporation Commission is the enforcement agency for the Oklahoma Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act. So you'll want to have that information to provide so that you can show that you're working with the valid location. We talked briefly about determining location of the 3Ds, right? Depth, direction, and distance. You can do that with hand tools. Make sure you're finding it through test holes. Use soft or vacuum excavation to find that and expose that facility so that your tolerance zone can be taken advantage or used, which is 2 feet either side of the width of the facility. If you're unable to find the underground facility, let us know. Call in a second notice. Say, hey, I've been digging all over the place trying to find this utility. Can this utility please come back out and help us make sure that there wasn't some mismarkings and we can find those facilities. Once you do have that tolerance zone created and there's no heavy equipment being used within 2 feet of the underground facility, you want to protect and support that facility throughout until your project is complete. If damages does occur, notify Okie 811. It's mandatory per the law of November 1st, 2021. You'll notify us, and then we can help you notify the facility owner as well. This should be done after any emergency situation is taken care of. If you need to call 911, you need to clear the area, things of that nature. Do that. Take care of yourselves and your work crew, of course, but notify us so that we can help with facilitating repairs and all that information. This should, again, be one of those common sense statements, but please delay backfilling the damaged area. That nick or gouge or dent may not look that big of a situation right now, but once you throw a couple of tons of dirt on it, that integrity is going to be definitely compromised, and we do not want that to become a problem down the road. By not backfilling, you can take care of that damage now, get that repair taken care of so that we're not risking injury or loss because of the damage that was covered up. So speaking of damage, when working around pipelines, I always stress this information that you always want to keep your senses about you to make sure that a damaged line doesn't, if it does occur around you, you know about it. So keep your eyes open. You'll be looking for dirt blowing in the air, water bubbling, or standing in unusual areas. You'll look for dead vegetation or cloud or a mist. And then, of course, sheen on the water, fire or explosions. You may see any of those things. So keep your eyes open for any of that may be happening. You'll use your ears to listen for hissing or whistling or roaring sounds that are unnatural. Pretty much the longer the hiss takes place, the more unnatural it is, right? So you'll be wanting to pay attention for those things. And then, of course, use your nose to smell for strange and unusual gaseous or chemical odors, you know, the skunk odorized natural gas, those rotten eggs, which is hydrogen sulfide, or the petroleum refined products. So keep your senses about you, just in case there is a damaged line around you. To help prevent damaging a pipeline, we want to keep in mind what the tolerance zone is. A tolerance zone is that defined horizontal space, which is 24 inches from the outside wall or edge of an underground line or pipe. So in this illustration, you can see that the gas line here is marked with the yellow paint and flags. Those paint and flags are to show the approximate location of where the underground facility is. So as you dig straight down within 24 inches of either side of the markings, you should be able to find the facility. Once the facility is discovered, then you'll use soft digging to expose and protect it so that no mechanical equipment can be used within that to eliminate the risk or try to eliminate the risk of damage or injury or worse, right? So keep that tolerance zone in mind. So to wrap this all up is the 5 steps. We talked about them in detail. And now I'm just going to highlight them in an overview. So step one of a safer excavation is always contacting OK1 before you dig. Go online, dial 811. You saw the service areas, you want to be able to reduce that chance of causing a damage or somebody getting hurt. After that contact is made, you're going to do step two, which is wait the required time. That work to begin date and time is on your ticket. So whether it's 2 days after the date of notification, or if it's a full 10 days, either one, make sure that you're waiting that required time, because your ticket is not valid until that work to begin date and time that's on your ticket. Step three is going to be the confirming of response of all of those operators. You'll look for the mandatory positive response. It's going to be on your ticket. You can type in your ticket number on our website as a ticket lookup, and it'll let you know the status of each company that should be out there. And then once you get out there, you'll just verify the markings, make sure it matches up to what you saw on your positive response. If anything is missing, please do not hesitate to give us a call, put in a second notice. Let's make sure that those companies come back out to mark their lines. Respect those marks. In step four, that tolerance zone, like I said, 24 inches outside of the mark, and protecting the buried utilities during your excavation is crucial for your work to go on safely. And then five, it's kind of an umbrella term. You could have done all other 4 steps correctly, but if you forget just to dig safely, just to do what's right around those underground facilities, then things can unfortunately happen that are not what we're looking for a successful excavation project. So if damages should occur, do not backfill, do not repair, do not operate valves. Contact us and the facility operator so that we can help you with that repair, get that situation taken care of. Okay, so those are the 5 steps. And when it comes to safe excavation or damage prevention, it's always going to be a collaborative effort. I have this slide on every single presentation I do. It's just to remind everybody who's involved, all stakeholders, that it does take all of us to understand the importance of safety out there when doing excavation projects. It does have the facility owners and their locators being able to do the public awareness, having those 811 stickers on all their vehicles, having the pipeline markers, having the information on transformers and pedestals and utility lines everywhere, so that we can stress the importance of, hey, if you're digging around these areas, 811 needs to be called so you have a chance to protect yourself and protect what's under the ground. And as excavators, they have to understand that this process isn't just obeying a law. It's not just checking a box. It's truly to keep you safe. Our excavators are the ones who's building the infrastructure, the ones maintaining the infrastructure, they're the ones who providing everything we need so that we can work from home, have a good life in our communities, and all those things. And then obviously we want our excavators to go back to work the next day, right? So excavators need to understand the importance of keeping themselves safe, as well as the communities and things that they work around. And OK811's responsibility throughout this collaborative effort is hopefully with our education and outreach efforts and providing a great service to provide the communication between excavators and our facility owners, is to provide that overarching message of keeping everybody safe and preventing damage. So I want to say thanks real quick. We're coming up on 30 minutes, so I was kind of guess about right on where we are. But if you think of any questions, or if you have any suggestions for future presentations, let me know. You can always email me. My email address is education@ok811.org. A couple of things I do want to promote while some questions roll in. Right now I don't see any questions popped up, so if you do have some, do not hesitate to type it in. Otherwise, don't forget my email address. Either way, I'll be able to help you out. One thing that is coming up is on March 9th and 10th is our Excavation Safety Expo. We are 100% committed to doing this in person, as well as a hybrid option, where if you are unable to attend the Expo on March 10th, you'll be able to catch an online option of this and attend online. March 9th is going to be an opportunity for our excavators to compete in an equipment rodeo, and then take advantage of one of our certification workshops, whether it's line locating, 811 certification, or an excavation and trenching with competent person certification. And then our membership is going to have our annual meeting and our education forum and a welcome reception for all, starting around 4:30. So March 9th is going to be where we bring everybody together. And then March 10th is our full Expo, where we have an outstanding keynote speaker that I'm really looking forward to. I hope you check them out. Our industry breakout sessions, we have 12 breakout sessions that we're going to have, outdoor demos as well as our exhibit hall. Again, you can attend the Expo in person with us or online. The Expo by itself on March 10th, attendance is $75. And if you want to take advantage of one of the certification workshops, it's only $25 more. We take care of your food. We give you a chance to win door prizes, all kinds of cool opportunities within those 2 days. So the reason that it is so inexpensive at $100 is because if you're not aware, OKI 811 is a nonprofit. We are not out to make money off of this. We want to work with our sponsors, and we thank them so much for providing the revenue to put an event on like this at a low cost, so that our members, or excuse me, so that our excavators can learn so much about staying safe. So if you have any questions about that, go check it out. The website is okexcavationsafety.com, and or you can go to our website ok811.org and see plenty of information on that. But for $100, it's a great opportunity for you and your crews to learn a lot about safe digging and damage prevention instead of. And last promo is just to stay in contact with us. You can always visit our website, ok811.org. There's a follow us information where you can follow our blog. You can get connected to our YouTube channel. And then, of course, I host a podcast as well called Digging Game. So those are 3 options that are available for you to stay connected, learn some more as you go. And as you take those drives, you have an opportunity to hear just a little bit more about what we're doing to try to keep everybody safe in the state of Oklahoma. So through my little infomercial, we did not receive any questions. So I thank you all for your attendance today. I hope that we all got something out of it. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me. Again, education@ok811.org. And I thank you for doing your part to keep Oklahoma safe through excavation and damage prevention. Thank you all. Have a great day.